May Frisby, you're the owner, manager, everything else in this lovely restaurant we're here, just off Grafton Street, past a Fresca. What are your challenges today running this?
I have fought with my landlord for 3 years to try and get a reduction, and we're in exactly the same situation. It's encouraging to know somebody else is not paying their rent, because I stopped for a while and then started again, and I stopped to get them to come to the table to talk with me, because they ignored my letters through solicitors, etc. for years. And then they looked for audited accounts, which we provided for years ahead, and projections, and then they stopped negotiating again. My rent here is $250,000.
$250,000
for
annual rent,
1,600 square feet. And when I opened here, again, it was a 32-year lease, much similar to here, and my rent was €13,000.
You're kidding, €13,000 per year.
Yeah.
You've had this for 25 years.
25 years, and I'm locked into another 7 years on a 32-year upward-only lease.
And when did they start moving it to $250,000?
05, 06, the rents were going a bit crazy, and we were struggling with that, and in 07 it was unsustainable. That's when I first approached my landlord for a rent reduction. And it has been unsustainable, even in the boom times when the restaurant was really busy day and night. The rent was becoming unsustainable. But now, our turnover is down 50%, sometimes 60%, and our rent is there, crazy. They came to the table and started to negotiate with me for a while and asked for my lease back. I said no at first, and then I said yes, because the situation was unsustainable. And then they broke off negotiations. Now, I too will come to court because I'm not paying my rent. I got nervous because I was completely in breach of my lease and paid again for a bit and then stopped. And it will come to court, and I don't know how it will go, but 25 years here really amounts to a hill of beans, nothing. I might be the next casualty this year. So many restaurants have closed around me. So many of my friends in this business have gone out of business. And there's not much hope unless my case goes okay in court. Now, there was a landmark ruling in December here when Burger King on Grafton Street took their landlord to court successfully, and the judge ordered the rent reduced.
By something like over 50%, wasn't it?
It was big, and it was good. I will be in court soon. My case did come up a month ago, and the other side was not ready, so it had been postponed.
Is it the case that they're taking you, or you're taking them?
They're taking me
because
to court for non-payment of rent.
And when did you say you stopped paying your rent?
I haven't paid rent for maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
I started writing to them about 3 years ago, to my landlord, looking for a rent reduction at that time.
And there was nothing that you could do at all during the years when the rents were being negotiated, when they were being raised?
No.
You had
I
no
took it to
bargaining
arbitration
power.
a few times, and it still went up.
And what would have
And all
happened?
that costs money, hiring arbitrators, hiring negotiators to do all of this. We don't have those kind of resources.
How many people do you employ here, May?
About 30.
30 people.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you lose this case, and you're going to have a massive bill of $250,000 if it's more or less a year you haven't paid.
Yeah.
Very difficult to get $250,000. This is game over for you in terms of your business.
I think so here, yes, for sure. It's unsustainable, and unless they negotiate with me, and again, you asked, it doesn't make common sense or logic. It's not logical to think that they will have 3 units empty here if I go. I can't walk. I'm locked into 7 more years at $250,000, which is another $3.5 million. And while it suited them one time to try and take me out, now they want to keep me here at this high rent because I'm locked into it.
And we know there has been a change, as John said. The rules have changed, and now
for new leases.
Yes,
but not
so
for
obviously
existing.
what you want is a law brought in as well, which will change things retrospectively. So there will be a renegotiation based on current rent values. I presume that's what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
What is it the new government then needs to do from your point of view, just generally to improve trade, to improve
in the city, or in my business?
Your business, the city, the country?
Well,
for people like you and your
rent
business.
obviously is the first big issue. The second, I suppose, is wages. Wages are unsustainable. Minimum wage is too high. We're higher.
But that has been brought down, though.
Yes, but in the JLC, no. We're part of the JLC. Our minimum wage is $9.30 something. So now the minimum wage is €2.
The JLC
governs the restaurant trade.
Okay, right.
So we're on 9.35 or 36
I see.
per hour.
So you're not actually, the minimum wage doesn't apply to you, the reduced minimum wage.
So the Restaurant Association of Ireland is battling that, but that looks like it's not happening anytime soon. And Sunday rates are prohibitive. So all of that is could be changed and could be changed easily. We have one of the highest minimum wages in Europe, and even across the border. I think we're 50% higher than across the border. That plus the amount of bureaucracy and red tape and workload and changing law and employment law and licensing and all of the things we have to do to keep afloat, health and safety. It's a huge volume of work.
Yeah.
Our VAT is higher. In Spain they've reduced VAT. There's no excise duty on wines. France has reduced their VAT to 5%. Ours is considerably higher. A collection of all of these things. And the city is closed to business in most people's minds. People don't come into Dublin much anymore. The figures have dropped. The footfall is hugely decreased. Busgate has done away with late night shopping. It's ill thought out, ill planned. And the shopping centres are so much more attractive. Parking is cheaper, it's easier. Here we have meter parking at night time, they still charge. Sunday parking. All of that could be lifted to bring people back in to the city.
Can I just ask you, May, just before we go, you have real reason to be angry, upset, despairing. Why aren't you taking that anger out onto the streets? Why aren't the rest of you getting together and marching on the street and marching down to the Dole? Because this is one of the things that comes up now, and it's coming up a lot. Where's the anger? We know people are suffering. It seems that in this country we're closing the door behind us, and we're despairing in secret. It's a hidden misery that's going on. Instead of people taking matters into their hands and marching onto the streets and showing their anger in a very palpable way.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I often wonder why. I mean, in France they'd have taken to the streets by now, that's for sure. And we just keep getting pummeled and we've done nothing.
Yes.
I often think about that, and I think if I take to the streets, of course I'll have to close here, because who's going to manage here if we take out? But yes, it's a good point, and we do take too much, I think, sitting down, and we should take to the streets, really. And maybe we will right now after this. But it is tough, and it is despairing, and it is. You try to keep your head down and work your way through it. And we thought in 2009 maybe we're over the worst of it, and then 10 was just shocking, and we're heading down 11 now, and it's just getting worse. And it is. I do despair, and I'm not so sure I have the same confidence that John in the next government. I mean, Fianna Fáil have just destroyed the country, and Bertie and Biffo were at the head of it. He was the Minister of Finance when they engineered this catastrophe. I'm not so sure Fine Gael and Labour can pull it together, to be honest. I'm not so sure that I'm that confident at the moment. And what's to say they won't be, Fianna Fáil won't be voted back in again. You get what you vote for. And we have voted Fianna Fáil, well, I haven't personally, but Fianna Fáil have been voted in half a dozen times. It's been a corrupt party for many years. I don't know what the answer is, but there's not an economic brain amongst them, I think, and if you ran a business the way we run the country, we wouldn't have a business. We really need brain power in there, people like Michael O'Leary and, who will sort the problems and not be afraid of unions and, take it by the scruff of the neck and pull it up, cut crime departments, sort things out, fix things. Decisive action is what's needed here. But I'm not so sure any political party is going to come in here and make swift changes. I think we're on a slippery slope that's going to take many years to recover. I worry for my son. I worry for that age. We have kids going through school right now who will just leave. We're exporting our brain power again, as we did before. That's the sad part.
It is, yeah. May, John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen.